Hey guys, welcome back to Gaming for Immersion. My name is Michael, and I want to talk to you here for a couple of minutes about something that I just watched that has got me super excited. Now, those of you who are already fans of SFO probably already saw this and already know what I'm going to talk about. But in this video, I am going to talk a little bit about the Skaven, one of my favorite races in this game, have been for a very long time, sort of the state of the Skaven right now and what it is about what I watched in this video that has got me so excited, but also has got me, oh, what's the right way to say this? I'm extremely impatient now in terms of knowing that I'm going to have to wait for all this. So let's go ahead and watch a few minutes here of Vinris's video. Vinris is, of course, the lead designer, the man when it comes to SFO. And I'll let him speak for himself. And then, like I said, I'm going to chime in a couple of times here during his video and give you my thoughts. So if this is not the sort of thing that would interest you, then absolutely thank you for your time so far. And you may want to click away now because that's what the rest of this video is going to be.
Yes, the rats came back.
Okay, I'm going to stop him right there because that's exactly how I feel. He encapsulated my reaction perfectly right there. So let's just take a second and talk about the Skaven. So this, like I mentioned, is one of my absolutely favorite races in the game. This is one that I point at when I want to talk about the great diversity that Warhammer 3 has to offer in terms of the different racial mechanics. I mean, the mechanics, as you take a look at the different legendary lords within the Skaven faction, is there any other race that has as much diversity between its legendary lords where you're talking about, let's ignore a couple of the original ones for the time being. If you're talking about Claw and his weapon teams and his laboratory, or you're talking about Throt the Unclean and his ability to create all these extremely mutated monsters, or you're talking about Clan Eshin, whose specialty is in performing all types of espionage type activities. I mean, it's really across the board, just a ton of diversity when it comes to Skaven. And so my first reaction when I see something like this, which is that the Skaven are going to be getting a bit of a rework here in SFO, my first reaction is, well, I really like the Skaven, so that's cool. But on the other hand, the Skaven are in a pretty good place, and maybe it would be better bang for the buck to go tackle a different race. But then I thought about it for a minute, and I realized, okay, that's not exactly true. Some of the Skaven are in a really good place, but some of them obviously have been left really far behind, and that includes my favorite Skaven lord of them all, which it's pretty cool that is also what Vinris decided to illustrate here in his example. So yes, that's right. Skrulk is my favorite of the Skaven lords. I probably like all of them except for Tretch. I mean, I have a special fondness for Queek. I really like the extra mechanics of the ones that I just mentioned a minute ago. But Tretch is he's just kind of there, you know? He's just kind of a big letdown right now. But anyway, I once upon a time did a video called Skrulk is Better Than You Think, and I basically sang the praises of a Skrulk campaign, even while at the same time acknowledging that the game has somewhat passed him by, and that it would be a great idea to give him some new mechanics. So anyway, I just find it really intriguing here that Vinris has chosen to illustrate what's upcoming for the Skaven here with good old Lord Skrulk. So anyway, yeah, what we have here is well, again, I'll let him speak for himself, but we have a couple of legendary lords with the Skaven who are in desperate need of a rework. So let's hear what's coming for them.
The most, or maybe not the most, but one of the most neglected factions in Total War Warhammer 3. I don't think they get anything in Warhammer 3, even the values of mechanics or the units or anything. I don't think that anything was added to the faction, which is very funny because the faction itself was so spoiled in Warhammer 2 that was insane, really. The amount of content, the best DLC, the best free content, the best aesthetics, everything was the best in terms of the Skaven.
Yeah, completely agree with that. That's, I think, just kind of emphasizing what I had just said. Warhammer 2, the Skaven were obviously just, a top notch from a design standpoint, except for the fact that, like I said, some of your original ones, the original two Skaven were, of course, Queek and Skrulk, they kind of got left behind, but all of the additions really added a lot. And so I think it makes sense that Warhammer 3 didn't really add anything to the Skaven because, like I said, all of the newer lords, at least, were already in a pretty good place.
But in Warhammer 3, they are quite neglected as a faction. Of course, Ikit Claw is still one of the best legendary lords in the game, but him and all of the other Skaven has a big problem that the late game for the Skaven becomes very stale, and also they are lacking any power. Their power is not increasing exponentially like other factions, so they have some problems. They have a wonderful roster and one of the coolest battles in the game when you play them, but as I said, mechanically they have some problems. And today we'll be talking about the things that we in SFO want to introduce to the Skaven with the next update, because one of the focuses, not only, but one of the focuses will be the Skaven right now for the factions. We're talking about the scroll right now, and the big thing that we want to do for the Skaven is, and going to be said in a moment, but the first thing first is that we'll be increasing the amount of events and dilemmas that the Skaven have as a faction, and they will be specific to the specific legendary lords. For example, if you're playing Skrulk, you will have different dilemmas, you will have different as a Morse clan, different in the Ashen, and so on and so on. Important thing also here is that we are basing those changes of what we just did for the vampire counts with the last DLC that we really like.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. And yeah, I mean, for those of us who are really into the theme of the game, as well as the mechanics and the challenge and all that stuff, I really like the sound of that. I really like that attention is being paid to sort of paid to trying to customize the new events to be tailor-made for the different types of legendary lords. So definitely from a thematic standpoint, the things that the new events that are going to kind of lean into the differences between the different lords really is very appealing to me. Of course, obviously, it comes down to how it's all executed, but yeah, really like the sound of all that. But coming up here in a minute is the really big stuff.
The funny thing is right now that my game crashed. The game just crashed. Right. Maybe because
his game crashed, so I jumped forward here a little bit.
Besides the new events, besides looking on some mechanics, because we have some plans for the Skrulk, for example, making the Ashen clan mechanic a bit better, Rictus clan getting actually something good. Big thing that we want to rework is the technologies. The technologies for the Skaven, for the first time since Lizardman, we want to entirely redo the tech tree.
Okay, so this is really exciting for me. I'm big into reworking of tech trees, so I really liked the sound of this even before he started talking about the specifics, but I really like what's coming up here in terms of the specifics that he's talking about. But I want to go back to just a second ago, what he was specifically saying in terms of like some of the neglected lords, like Tretch, for example. He mentioned he's going to get some new stuff, so that's good. If we can make... I don't even want to say put Tretch on the same level as Ikiclaw or, some of your really, really strong Skaven lords, but if we can just make his campaign a little bit more bearable, that's pretty exciting. I'm all in favor of identifying not just Skaven legendary lords, but any legendary lords in the game that people are going to gravitate away from because they're just meh. They're very mid. They're lacking mechanics or, they're, for whatever reason, the beginning of their game is just not very interesting or compelling or whatever. I'm really, rather than constantly seeing new lords being introduced, I'm really in favor of identifying the weak areas in the game already and addressing those. But here we go. Now he's going to get to the nitty gritty here of the tech tree.
just make additions to it, entirely redone it. So I have a nice screenshots of things that we want to do. So this is a technology that is normally in vanilla. It is based on units stuff, and also has some campaign stuff and so on. It is not the worst technology, being honest. There are way worse in the game right now. Look on the lizard on vanilla, which are atrociously bad. But the thing that we want to do here, that you can notice on this amazing mashup, is tabs. We want to make 3 tabs for the Skaven. First of all, this whole technology tree won't change much in terms of where the things are, but the big change of it will be that it will be focused only on units. So this first tab will be only units bonuses, nothing else. No campaign stuff, no upkeep, no, only units stuff here. In the second tab, the thing's going to be more fun, because the second tab that we are doing is a new tab. This tab is based on one of my favorite games from my childhood, is Dungeon Keeper 2. And this will be that you need to dig the tunnels. The tunnel is the middle line, and while doing the tunnels you can unlock rooms, and when we unlock this one, we can do all technologies here. But that's not all.
Okay, so that sounds really intriguing to me. I like the idea of it. So it's not just a simple progression system or a hierarchical system where you work your way from, the left to the right, or you work your way from the middle outward, as some of them do, or you work your way from the bottom up towards the top. This is kind of interesting. I don't want to exactly call it a mini game, but I like, he's going to go into more detail here in a minute, and I have a question that I'm very curious how it's going to play into it, that I thought of the first time I watched through all this. But anyway, yeah, I like the idea of kind of making this a more interesting type of a unlocking of technologies, and at the same time, I like what he's done here in terms of breaking this up and kind of compartmentalizing the different types of technologies. So I'm going to go ahead and steal his thunder here and mention that tab 3 is more Undercity specific type stuff. Tab 2 is very faction specific mechanic type stuff, which he'll get into here in a second, and tab 1 is the units, like he mentioned. So I really like that. I think they've thought through how they're going to compartmentalize it. I'm very really excited to see how all this gets developed. Now, I mentioned that I'm going to have a question here. He says right here, rooms require workforce. It's a new resource, and he's going to talk about it in a minute. Whenever you get a new resource like this, particularly in the technology tree, my question is going to be, and I don't know, maybe Serb will see this, because I know Serb sometimes visits my videos, and Serb is on the balancing team, I'm pretty sure, for SFO. So maybe you could answer that, or honestly, if anybody knows, please feel free to answer this. But because SFO settings allow you to change your research rate, is that going to be reflected in this new resource as well? So in other words, will this resource end up requiring more of it if you try to slow down your research rate, or how exactly will all that work? Anyway, just a question that I had from the first time that I saw this. Now let's go ahead and let Vinros keep explaining.
We'll be having a new resource similar to the favor of the old ones that Lizardmen have, the resource that is only for technology, that you can get it only through technology and used only for technology. So it's not so convoluted, it's not overblown with the stuff campaign. So this new resource, you will be seeing it here on the top left, and important thing will be that it will be used only in this tab at the beginning. Okay, so you will need food, yes, food, to dig the tunnels, the middle tunnels, and then using a new resource that for now it's named workforce, but we are looking for the better name, you will be able to spend it to make those rooms. And there will be small rooms and the big rooms.
By the way, I hope they do change the name. Workforce doesn't sound like particularly Skaven-y. I hope they come up with something a little bit more clever than that.
Overall, this tab will be mostly based on campaign and buffing specific mechanics for specific factions. For example, for clan Morse clan rats will be getting buffs here. Yes, for Skrolk, plagues will be getting buffs here, and so on and so on. But also,
And I love that. That to me, that is really leaning into the flavor of what makes each individual legendary lord unique, and I just love the idea of it.
we'll have campaign stuff, as we said that in the first tab. So the one that is vanilla right now will be only about the units. So all control, upkeep, things like that will be removed here and will be moved here. Workforce will be increasing based on how many researchers you have for the workforce. So you will be able to pay gold, food, or just time, like a normal technology. You will be able to increase your gain of a workforce, so you will be able to get those rooms faster. Yes, that's the plan. And as I said, we want it to be a bit modular, so you can now, for example, just go straight up to the end and skip those. Don't spend the workforce because you want to get to those last stuff as soon as possible to dig the tunnel deeper and get those stronger stuff ASAP and leave those weaker ones for later. Yeah, so it's all about your choice. It's a simple mechanically stuff, but we want the technology to be something a bit different and more, on par with the fact that it's given a crazy in terms of how many stuff they can have. And the last tab that we're going to right now is my favorite because it will be a big Skaven sign. It will be 13 technologies. Right now it's 14 right now, so this one will need to be removed. It needs to be 13. And these technologies will be working on par with Undercities. Yes, Undercities are a great mechanic in overall since Warhammer 2. In Warhammer 3, we got a lot of new effects and additions to this mechanic in terms of the dwarf delves, so that also trickster cults. There are a lot of effects and things that can be used here, but they were never really updated. So we want this technology tab to not only be unlockable based on what Undercities you have, but also make Undercities stronger.
Okay, so yeah, I'm probably starting to sound like a broken record at this point, but I really love where they're going with this. I agree completely. Undercities are really a neat little mechanic that are very underutilized. I feel like in vanilla, there's a lot more that could be done with Undercities, and so this is certainly one way to do that. Is sort of to give them their own little tech tree to empower them. Obviously, again, it comes down to how it gets implemented, but I really like the sound of this.
Yes, because some of the buildings in Undercities are very one-dimensional. There are or buffing so specific stuff, just giving gold, more food, and so on, or they are for specific situations like standalone buffing buffing your units if you are attacking set things and so on. We want to expand it a bit, making that, for example, one building that is just normally giving gold with a specific upgrade can make that your unit has way less upkeep if they are in this specific province, not only region like it is in the cities. And we want to go with some crazy other stuff and also mechanics that were there added thanks to the effects from the the monogods factions cult. So also making some crazy stuff. So this is the big addition that is going to Skaven that we are working on right now, and will be going quite crazy. Important thing is that this will take some time, but I'm quite sure we will finish it before the next DLC. And we also are looking for your ideas with those things. What crazy stuff you would like to see for the Skaven with the technologies, effects, Undercities, and the units buff, and also campaign. And especially if you're an SFO mod team Patreon, that is helping us a lot. You will be having way more ways to check it out, influence this thing, and also help us doing those additions for the Skaven.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to finish this video with echoing what he just said. First of all, obviously, I will put a link to his video here in this one. Please feel free to check it out for yourself, but we did end up listening to most of it right here. But yeah, I love the idea behind all this. It is pretty ambitious. Obviously, the team is known for really ambitious efforts that they do a really good job with overall. So I am definitely confident that they can pull it off. But of course, it is going to take a little while, and now I can't wait. So I hope they can do it sooner rather than later. But yeah, I really appreciate that they are doing this. I really appreciate that they're soliciting feedback, and I will kind of finish up this video by encouraging people to, if this is the kind of thing that interests you, if you're not already supporting the SFO team, maybe this is a time when you might want to consider it. So anyway, something to think about. But yeah, like I said, I'm really looking forward to it myself. Link to Venrus's video here at the end of this one. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. I, at this point, am already know that probably on the channel. If not on the channel, I'll just do it for myself. But I know I'm going to be playing a Skrulk video as soon as this drops. So yeah, can't wait for that. All right, anyway, you guys have heard me ramble on long enough. So yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. And anyway, we'll see you all in the next video.